up a seat at the bar to join us for another episode of McAnally's Pubcast, a podcast exploring the fun and fantastical mind of Jim Butcher's The Dresden Files series. Hosts Tanzan, Jess, and Maggie bring you another round of literary analysis on this immense, immersive, and colorful environment inhabited by Harry Dresden, the world's only licensed private investigator and professional wizard. Join an active and engaged community of new and die-hard dedicated fans focused on the fabulous themes, theories, characters, context, lore, and more. This is McAnally's Dresden Files Pubcast by Free Flow Rambling. Conjure by it at your own risk.
Welcome to the McAnally's Pubcast, brought to you by Free Flow Rambling. This is episode 10.20, Underdog, where we are covering the novel Death Masks. My name is Tanzan, and I'm joined by Maggie.
Hello, hello.
And Jess.
She just gave you all the kiss off. Kiss of death?
Kiss of death. Now there's no viewers. It's just us again.
Aww. Just when it was getting good.
Right? Happy 100th would kill you all.
Thank you so much to our Patreon subscribers for your generous support. It's people like you who help us keep doing what we're doing. If you're not yet a Patreon subscriber, sign up today and get a fuck ton of bonus content, kick-ass merch, behind-the-scenes outtakes, and more. Sign up today at patreon.com/freeflowrambling.
Chapter 22. As Harry is about to be executed by Nicodemus, Shiro comes to the rescue. Shiro offers to trade himself in place of Dresden and allows for Dresden to escape.
So do you feel more nervous about saying Shiro or Nicodemus?
Both. I looked at that, I was like...
You had to say both their names.
I'm not going to say Shira, and I'm not going to say Nicodemus.
No, you can just spell it out phonetically for you from now on. Then you don't have to think about it as much.
In brackets. IPA symbols and everything.
Ooh, IPA, yes, please. That's just okay sometimes. That's okay, it just sounded like you were about to say Shiro traded himself in for like a brand new Cadillac or something. It was like... traded himself in for a newer, younger model. Which he kind of does, that's Sonya, but...
So, despite the fact that Nicodemus has all the time in the world and a couple thousand years under his belt, when he makes a plan, he gets it done. He's got shit to do.
We could learn something from old Nick.
No messing around. No 15-hour villain speech. No letting Harry get a chance.
They call that grit.
Well, he tried. Harry just won't let him villainize. He keeps trying to do monologues and speeches, and Harry's just like, yeah, fuck you. And so Nick is like, okay, whatever. Let's just get on with this then.
Nick's done his homework, though, and he's like, I'm gonna kill you now before you get any little tricks up your sleeve.
Yeah, so, very much so, because he's like, you want to join up? And Harry's like, fuck you, and he's like, all right, let's kill you.
Whoa.
Wait, that's it? Usually there's a lot more to this process. No, that's fine, you said no.
And fully just, does the whole, you are not a human anymore, I will not talk to you anymore, you are death.
Yeah, he's basically just, doesn't give a shit anymore that way. Basically he's like an item on his, to-do list. Right? No, okay, let's go. And, so he's coming up to him, and Harry's now like, get away, only he's very bound in place, and can't get away, which is a problem.
Luckily for Deidre, she interrupts the whole process here, because Dad's jumping the gun. Lovely for Harry.
For Harry, yeah. So he gets right up to the point where he grabs the hair, tilts it back, puts a knife to his throat, and then Deirdre's like, Papa, aren't you forgetting something?
Protocol.
But and meanwhile, so Harry's trying to, wriggle away to save his life, and Nicodemus is just like, just calm down. I'll make it clean. Like, if you're
Relaxed.
gonna keep wiggling around like this, it's gonna be a lot worse. Like,
This is embarrassing, Harry. Control yourself.
yes, hold still. We'll just do this nice and quick.
Well, it's a nice ruthlessness about the whole thing, like detachment,
very.
coldness, like ritual.
Well, and this is the thing about Nicodemus, too, because we're not seeing his demon side or anything, right? Like, you see Snake Boy freak out into Snake Boy, and you see Deirdre freak out into demon, and Nick is just a man that's just doing, what I mean? Like, at this point, he hasn't gone to his demon side for intimidation or
That he doesn't even need to. He's just...
Yeah.
He's
like...
Happily in control as is.
Yeah, he's like, I'm scary-ass motherfucker, like, both enough of on my own and scarier because I'm not, So yeah, Deidre's like, wait a second, Daddy, don't you want the bowl? Bowl? What bowl?
All right, so the porter goes to retrieve it and then is instantly attacked at the door.
Yeah, one of those, again, beautiful visual scenes, right, where you see, like, the elderly guy or whatever. I think he's somewhat elderly. I feel like gray-haired fella, yeah. So he's, like, shuffling out the door, and then all of a sudden, right, you just see him, like, bang, back in the room kind of a thing, right? Like, and Nick is all like, oh, my God, what now? Then turns around and sees him on the floor, and he's had, like, no reaction. Like he says, right, Anna filled him full of holes. Didn't really blink. And all of a sudden he just sees his, like, valet in it, and all of a sudden he's, like, got the cold sweats going. He's, like, something.
He hides behind Harry.
Yeah, well, yeah, hide slash...
Takes a hostage.
Exactly. But yeah, basically, instantly, he's, like, on alert for something, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, nothing happened. Like...
Well, I mean, you see this moment of fear when he realizes that it's Shiro that has come in, and there's recognition... And he's like, oh, fuck, no.
Yeah.
We're not doing this.
Well, yeah, right? It was like, Anna shooting him didn't bother him. He's like, Harry blasting him through a wall didn't bother him. But, like, now he's and, like, his shadow is recoiling and everything as well.
Shows you the power of the knights right there.
Knight
like,
of the Cross.
Yeah.
Knight of the Cross. And again, nice little view into, like, Nicodemus and A, how... he's ancient, and B, how he doesn't give a crap about times changing and is evil because he immediately goes for the unpolitically correct, and he's just like, the Jap. It's like, Nick, you can't say that now. That's not cool.
It is, reminder, though, that this isn't just, the knights and the fallen. This is what they are both here for, each other, to destroy each other, right? Like,
yeah, exactly, right. Harry's just a general out there, and bad shit pops up, I just don't like it.
Anna
I'm not going
Valmont,
to
Dresden, doesn't matter. Everyday little bullshit.
Mortal criminal, super, right? Whereas exactly the knights
angel,
were
demon, arch enemy.
Arch nemesis? Yeah. But yeah, exactly, right? They were specifically created to help contain and thwart these fallen angels, right? So, yeah, lo and behold, the one that it works.
Nick's gonna be scared of someone. It's gotta be these guys.
Yeah, and again, right, is they obviously are effective if he is, because Harry hasn't really bothered him that much. He's like, you're a nuisance, you can cause me problems, you can get in my way, or you can be useful to me, but exactly now he's got actual, like, fear. So, yeah, and then it goes through this whole fantastic scene of Shiro just coming in and taking out the bad guys. And it's fantastic because he's taken out 3 men in, like, half as many seconds. So, like, 1.5 seconds, and he's just, and I mean, Harry's great. That was fast. That looked fast to you. I'm not sure. Was that fast?
Am I crazy? Am I alive? Am I dead?
But yeah, so we're like, shy, quiet, or not necessarily shy, but kind of mild-mannered, quiet, unassuming little Shiro, because he's already been described as being short of stature and all that.
Oh yeah, Dresden just goes nut babbling, and then Dresden goes just nutty and babbles all about this whole situation and makes these references to Underdog.
Yes. Yeah. Underdog, I'm ready about, yeah.
Both Nicodemus and Shiro are like, just be quiet. Just shut up.
Yeah, even Shiro's like, Harry, no.
Just stop, man.
Yeah.
Don't embarrass
I'm having
yourself.
a nervous breakdown right now, okay? Let me have this.
Yeah. But
so just as quickly when Shiro's, taking down all the bad guys, right? And he takes Deidre as his own hostage.
Well, that's it. He levels the goons and then immediately flattens Deidre, puts a foot on her neck and holds the sword to her, right? So she's not in literally a position to, like, do anything. And yeah, it really is. You kind of go, oh, like, don't underestimate Shiro. Just because he's like the old guy on the way out or whatever, you know, it's like, no, dude's good at his job and he's still got some moves. He is not beyond. Right. Yeah, like he's not just a little. And he's
night stay training. Man.
Yeah, right. He's getting up there, but so yeah. So then Nick, okay, so everyone's had a moment now. So Nick is like, okay, I got my hostage / shield, right? Harry's like, oh my god. I was like literally had the knife at my throat, and then like all this shit happened, and now I still have a knife at my throat, but I'm not dead, and like there's shit going on, and holy fuck, and you're like, Harry, shut up, right? And Nicodemus proposes, Shiro proposes a trade, because he's like, you can't beat me, like I got whatever, right? He's like, the wizard is mine. He's like, you have no, he chose to interfere, so you can't, like, save him. You know, you don't have a claim that way. And Shiro's like, well, maybe not. You know? So Shiro proposes the trade, and Nick is like, I don't, like, my daughter for Dresden, like, no. And it's just like, wow, cold. You know, she's all like, Daddy, darling, don't forget this, don't forget that. And he's just like, nah, it's okay.
It's got a couple thousand years to raise and trade a new one. Who cares?
Right, and so, like, this is the thing, right? You're like, okay, so is he just not worried that, you know, again, she's got all this demon backup power, it's gonna be, or yeah, he really is, like, in the grand scheme. And again, it's like, so he hasn't, like, he just made a play for Dresden, but he hasn't entered into it otherwise, right? We haven't seen him. He didn't really talk about a whole lot of stuff with Dresden. He's just like, here, take a coin and you can do a bunch of shit. You'll be good for our team.
We know that he also had received a prophecy about Dresden.
Oh, yes, right. So they knew, yeah.
Right, so there was something there.
Yeah, that's true. They did try and mess with that to keep him. But again, we haven't gotten very much. And then all of a sudden right here, he's like, no, trading my daughter's not worth it. He's like, I've got plans for him. And whether it happens now or later is just, right? So all of a sudden you're like...
he's very possessive about...
Wait, what? So yeah, this daughter that you've had for 2,000 years, like, yeah, you honestly don't give a shit if that goes down the wayside, because either killing Dresden right now with whatever you're going to do...
Dresden has more value than she does.
Yeah, which is funny because we haven't got a lot of... You know, he's just sort of alluded to it vaguely. You're like, oh, hey, you're here now. You've come into, like... You know, we've just stumbled across each other. Hey, if I gave you a coin, you'd be a big badass on...
And a secondary point to that is that we know that Nicodemus has a hard time getting the Fallen to work together.
Yeah,
because they just
not in their
they
nature.
don't. That's not in their nature to work together. So it's like the fact that he'd be willing to give up one of the only few that is willing to go along with him too, right? Like,
yeah, determinedly on his side, not just a sometimes ally, but an always, yeah. So it's like,
because again, we still don't know at this point whether or not he's daughter through Fallen or daughter through human,
or whatever,
right? You don't know, but either way, one or the other, either the Fallen shouldn't want to give up the Fallen, or the Fallen shouldn't want to give up the daughter. But like,
yeah, if you're gonna declare that kind of relationship, there is something
right?
Yeah, well, exactly.
Blood or not,
but Harry, you are more important.
That all, yeah, and all of a sudden we're going, wait, what? Like, it just suddenly tells you, like, yeah, he's a lot more important than you were given credit for or led to believe up until now, right? So that's a very interesting point right there. And then he's like, yeah, no, not gonna. And then Shiro's like, no, not your daughter, me.
Yeah, he doesn't actually mean, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, and even Harry does a, wait, what?
Nicodemus requests that there's no effort to escape if he's going to take that offer, no asking for help, and to go quietly. But Shiro does counter back that the offer is for 24 hours only.
Yeah.
And Nicodemus just agrees. He's like, nope, this is that is too sweet a pot to
again tells you all of a sudden this power balance. Yeah, because and fair on Shiro, at least again, this is where Shiro's like got the smarts, where he's like, no, you do not get to keep and torture me like forever. You get 24 hours, and then if I want to call, you know. So again, we know that you know, it's all mystical, right? Michael just gets to show up when he, right? So whether or not Shiro has a physical means of alerting or asking for help, we sort of know that exactly, well, the knights could easily figure out and find you one way, right? So by Shiro making that promise, right, you're sort of, again, he's giving up that divine intervention for yeah, so he's like, after 24 hours, if they're going to come find me, they're going to come find me. I'm not, you know. But yeah, which I'm like, actually very smart on you, because you're right. That could have been a whole, like, if you didn't think of that loophole, oh, good God, right?
Yep.
So he's like, no, you get one shot at this, you
Right.
get 24 hours, and I will cooperate and be your prisoner after that.
Because if he's got more than 24 hours, like, because he is basically eternal.
Well, exactly.
So if he doesn't make that time commitment,
Who knows?
he could whittle down Shiro into giving up everything over an extended amount of time, like...
Well, there's that, or just
break him
The fact how much torture
Just
would
the-
obviously
yeah.
suck after.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say, torture's never fun to start with. but
24 hours
exactly.
of torture sucks. Like,
Yeah, and to be just constantly, like, kept on the edge or healed enough to just keep prolonging that, whether or not Shiro himself... So it's that double-edged sword, right? Like, yeah, there's the risk of eventually even Shiro would probably break after days, months, years. But again, just the fact of, like, I'm not fucking, like, no, you do not get to take that from me, you know? Like, so yeah, so I think that's, like, a hugely big thing there. So yeah, so then he's like,
well, they do this whole exchange thing, right? And I really like the moment when Nicodemus is like, all right, release my daughter. And Shiro's like, I know the value of your promises. You know the value of mine.
Yes.
You're releasing Harry first. And Nicodemus is fully just like, okay, you got me.
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
point.
yeah. But I think that is a hugely profound moment,
Amazing
right there,
moment.
where Shiro is exactly. He's like,
He swears
I know that
in
that-
blood on the sword to take Harry's place. And this is very binding for him. He will not go back on that.
I will, everything he does right now, I will take Harry's place. I will allow myself 24 hours of no
Not
divine
trying-
intervention.
or trying to escape
not
or
trying
do
to
anything
escape or do
myself.
anything.
Yeah.
And I will release Deidre without any pain at all once Harry is clear of here, right?
Yeah.
That's 3 huge, and yeah, like obviously...
Blood oath on top of it. Like, not that he even needs to do it, like, because he
but-
is bound by honor.
It is,
But-
the fact that, yes, the Knights of the Cross, when they say shit, they mean shit. When they fall and lie, well, you know, that's what they're here to do as well.
Well,
Yeah.
if Shiro lies, his sword will do nothing.
so that's the thing. There's so many levels here. There's simply him giving his word. So yes, based on his honor, he's not going to go back. Based on his oath, well, he's not going to break an oath to God. That would be a really big thing. We know in the supernatural world, giving promises and breaking oaths, like Harry's alluded to this before, you know, dicking around with Leah and all that kind of stuff. He's like, a wizard, like, nobody should break promises and, you know, karma, like, it's not good for anybody. But he's like, if a wizard keeps doing it too many times, he's like, that will actually affect my power. You know, again, the rest of you might not notice it so much, maybe a little bad luck, right? But again, he's like, as wizards and supernatural beings doing it, it has a more profound, right? So there's like layer upon layer upon layer of like religious and moral and magical and...
Well, this is where the
You know,
question of Sonya comes up too, about like how committed he is. Like, obviously I don't want to insult Sonya, sorry. I don't want to insult Sonya, but when you've got someone like Shiro or Michael who are just in and of themselves, they've got their own moral code and ethics that they are unwavering in, right?
Yeah.
But on top of
Bound
that,
by,
they're like,
faith.
I believe in what God believes in. I stand with God. I do all his own shit. It's not just Harry, who's supposed to be on the White Council side and does whatever he wants or whatever like that, right? It's not just like...
Yeah, they don't operate in gray areas whatsoever.
No, but even like Murphy, like, yeah, Murphy's with the cops. She's got to follow the law. She's got to do all these things. Where Shiro and Michael just have their own personal ethics, as well as just like the most holy guideline book, whatever. It's a hugely huge big thing when you have their word and their standing.
Well,
and
exactly, right. That's the thing. Like, Harry agrees to uphold the laws of the way. He doesn't necessarily always understand all of them, but again, he understands sort of a basic necessity for... So whether the civil laws or magical laws, right, there's a reason we have those. And yeah, if you have to bend or tweak a little bit in order to catch the bad guy or something like that, that's okay or whatever, right? Because you're still upholding the main law, the good of the thing and whatever, right? The spirit of the law, if not the letter, and da-da-da-da-da. Whereas exactly Michael and Shiro...
care a lot more about the spirit.
yeah, they do not, right? And again, as we talked about the last time, Michael's like, if shit's going down, and Harry's like, well, no, just, you know, it's a vampire party, Michael's like, not gonna happen. If I need to interfere, I will interfere. I cannot, will not, right?
But that's further the point, though. Murphy's gun is going to work every time. Her Aikido training is going to work every time. Harry's magic is going to work either time, whether or not they're on one or the other side of the line, right? The Knights, you know, if their shit's not on the level, if they don't personally believe in what they're doing,
Yeah.
that's it.
Faith
Bye-bye.
gives no shits about physics.
Yes.
Fully.
And if it's not sanctioned, it's not even just whether they believe what they're doing is right or not. But yes, if they
But that's
are
like,
not
what I mean, though, is like
actually-
they've got to fully believe in what the hell God
Yeah.
fully believes in,
Yes.
because there is no wiggle room
Yeah.
one way or the other, right?
Yeah.
And we saw when Michael went to that vampire party with Harry, right? Harry's like, don't pick a fight. And Michael's like, I'm gonna pick a fight if I need to pick a fight.
Yeah.
Don't give a fuck about you. If I see some shit going down, too bad.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not... Either I leave as a knight or I don't. And if I'm leaving as a knight, that means I'm acting on the shit,
yes,
right?
it does raise an interesting point. So again, since Sonya does not have that religiously ethical, I guess it's basically just the human morality of, I mean, again, he's still got to believe what he's doing and right. He just backs it up with different reasons, I guess, since he doesn't have...
It's just a little bit, it's weird how his comes into the same...
falls under the same scope.
Strength, power.
Yeah.
And I understand what Butcher is doing when he's like, oh, you see, like, it's not necessarily just, like, there is one God, blah, blah. And, like, even to be, like, Muslims, Christians, and Jewish people, we all believe in the exact same God, right?
Yeah.
We all believe it's the same dude. We just have slightly different beliefs on how the story goes or whatever like that, right? And how the practices goes. But we all believe that it is
God,
one...
prophet, this or that, but it all is
we all believe it's the same guy overall, right?
Yeah.
But to what point, what end do we... just agree on the rules, right? That's what makes Sonya so weird.
Yeah.
Same story, different reboot.
But he's in like a whole other universe, so it's like, how does,
for all Sonya knows, he's at the fucking loony bin, staring at a wall,
so,
like,
I guess,
believing that he's very ethical and moral, but...
Yeah. So so he swears it, so exactly, you know what my word is worth, I know what yours is, and so they make their pact, and then he cuts down Dresden, and this is the flip side, or the extenuation of, so we were talking about how horrible it would be to be bound, and whatever, and so after hours of this, and so it's just proven he's had very little movement of any kind, because he couldn't even wiggle away from Nicodemus. Now, all of a sudden, after hanging, like, all that weight on your arm for, like, overnight, hours and hours and hours, now you're cut loose.
Oh, and it adds some adrenaline on top of it, like shock.
Well, yeah, and we've all, right?
Fuck, our legs fall asleep while we do this podcast.
Exactly, right? I was just going to say, you fall asleep on your arm or something at school, and how much does that fucking hurt when you have to try and suddenly shift your, or you're holding something for somebody, and you're working above your head, and... Right, so now this has been hours and hours and hours that his body has.
And Dresden doesn't exactly have discipline for any of this, right? Like he's not practiced in like
no, there's that
body focus whatsoever.
Yeah, and exactly. So he's gone in and out of this like pain to numb.
And we already see that his head is not in the place to be able to deal with it either. So he can't just will his completely block out stuff because he's got not even mental faculties right now.
We've seen him do and you sort of see step by step as he levels up to things, but exactly, this is not a situation he's been in before, so it's not a situation he has prepped extensively for.
Harry says, a wizard is only good as they've had time to prepare, right?
Yeah, so, I can't remember, I think...
He's basically a babbling idiot right now that has no function over his... No discipline over his body right now that has just been abused.
Yeah, because he's tortured. He's not thinking big enough at this point to, because I think it's by now, I think he's mentioned that he started jogging and stuff like that, right?
A little bit,
right? Because he's like, I keep having to run away from things, so guess what? I've started like actually jogging a little bit so that I can run away better, in fact, right? But so it's like as he comes upon things, he's like, oh, I should add this to, I should learn how to fight, I should learn how to run, I should learn how to do this or that, and exactly now this is, he's nowhere near prepared for this level right now, so he all of a sudden gets cut down and his body just fucking screams in agony from that, because now everything is trying to shift back into it. Fuck, I have that. I don't know anybody else out there with like real long hair, and it's like if you wear it down all the time and then you go to like wear it like up really high and like your hair actually gets to like the end of the day you let it down,
your hair hurts.
Your hair,
it's the weirdest thing.
Hurts.
Like, hair hurts. I mean, technically it's your scalp, but it feels like every hair follicle is like fuck.
Oh my god, and it can be like crazily pain, like you do not expect
Imagine how
it.
Deirdre feels. That shit is just even worse.
Like, it's gotta be right. So so it's like
putting those metal racks into a ponytail.
You would never get an elastic to hold it. Fucking snapped another like every time you try.
Titanium.
She welds it together and then
little tack welds all
uses
around.
her own strands at the end to cut it apart when she wants it down.
I love it. She's just got like one of those, like a little creme brulee torch or something. She's got
every night,
little tiny acetylene torch to like
slowly rolling up the metal rolls every night before bed. Tuck them under the scarf.
So yeah, so now
Sorry, it was the scarf. It was the scarf that got me.
Protect your hair.
She wakes up in the morning. It's just like this, like
net. It's been shredded to a hairnet. That's how hairnets are made. She goes to bed with a cover on, and then she just like pops it up on eBay for.
Her shower routine is just like a buffer.
The grinding blades. Oh my god,
that's great.
Oh wow. Okay, so
Harry, speaking of bubbling idiots, babbling idiots, Harry manages to make it to Shiro's side after a bit of effort, right? And even more so, right? This is when Shiro was like, "You taking the sword and you're getting out of here," and Harry's like, "Yeah, no,
yeah,
I can't get out of here, and I can't take the sword." And Shiro's like, "Guess what, bitch? You're the only one who's here."
Yeah, he's like,
that's pretty high stakes right there. Like
it's and
Shiro is in such a bad spot right here because he knows they can't get a hold of the sword. And he has to take it. Like, he just has to. It doesn't
Yes, you
even
cannot
matter.
leave this
Give
here
it to the wizard. It doesn't matter.
Yes,
it cannot go to the demons.
You would-
I mean,
only
fully
person
talking
to
about
take
the
it out.
last man standing. Like, this is do or die, literally.
Literally, yeah, you were the only one here. Yeah, exactly, right? And he's like, it didn't go well for me. Like, I don't think, like, Shiro and Sonya and...
Michael.
Or Sonya and Michael, and he does take a moment to think about it, and he's like, I think they're gonna understand. Like, go. And it is this whole, like, I get it, Harry, but it's like, you don't seem to be, I get why you don't want to take it. It didn't, but at the same time, it's like...
What are the options right now?
Are you gonna leave it with Nick? Like, if you fucked up and you're not that bad and you just had a moment, what do you think these guys are gonna do if you leave the sword with them to be damaged, broken, whatever? I mean, maybe he doesn't fully know or understand what, if they can attack it or not, But yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's like when he first, so he gets to have this, slightly stoic moment where he doesn't, whimper but it's only because he's, just out of breath and in so much pain he can't. But then Shiro's like, get up. Harry's like, yeah, I can't. He's like, Harry, get up. Like, he's both, encouraging and firm, but it's like, we don't have time to fuck around. Like, I get you're in pain and you're fucked.
I think he handles it really well.
But...
considering what's at stake at this moment...
yeah.
Harry or Shiro?
Shiro.
Yeah.
I think he's just...
unbelievably calm and like you say, the rest of us would be like Harry, just...
He's basically facing
our
his death
pants.
right now,
Yeah, he knows. He knows,
and
nothing good is going to happen in the next 24 hours.
It's well beyond him, too, because of the fate of the sword, fate of Harry.
Regardless of the sword, regardless of the power, regardless of the supernatural, the knights live human lives.
I would be a blithering idiot right then.
Yeah.
Be like,
just take the sword! Yeah, and that is why it's so, because exactly, it's you are making that choice to hand yourself over. You may not be able to know exactly, but terrible, horrible things are coming. This is going to be bad, whatever shape that takes,
I mean, we know
And
from
you are
Shiro's
willing-
eldest story how young he was when he took up the sword, right? So yeah, for all of that, for the last, 60, 70 years?
Yeah, well, I think we figure he's in his 70s or something like
so
that.
50, 60 years?
So yeah,
40,
let's
50?
say late teens to early 20s he would have been, right? So...
it's a long time to be
between 55,
fighting
60
the good
years,
fight,
something
and
like
then
that.
to just...
30. Because it's 40. I'm sticking with 40.
Yeah, I think closer to 50 then.
So
Late teens to early adulthood.
Yeah, let's see if he's 75 right now and he took up the sword and he was 20.
Yeah,
That's going to be 55 years of fight, right? So if he was, again, I'm not quite sure, late teens, was he 17, 18 when he went to
Point
this
is, it's a
concert?
long time to have been fighting the good fight
Yes.
and then hand yourself over
We're
to
bad
it.
at math and we're both time blind. God.
Yeah, fair enough. Yes, that
That's why we keep handing time frames to you.
Yeah, I got this. Definitely.
Yeah. But anyways, point being is that, yes, years and years and years and years and years, 30, 40, 50 years, whatever. And again, this is what, and I don't know if it's completely intentional or not, given that he is a Christian, it draws that parallel between Jesus Christ, and that was the whole thing with him giving himself up willingly. And while Shiro has an idea, that was the whole point, is that Christ knew, he was the Son of God. He absolutely knew exactly, there was going to be the crown of thorns and the flogging and the crucifixion and da-da-da-da-da. And so Shiro doesn't know, but again, that was the whole point and why the sacrifice of Jesus Christ was so special and was this big redemption for mankind, is because he chose to go in. And the rest of us, exactly, most of us would be like, I know I should. But, you know, like, again, human preservation, weakness of whatever you want to, right? Most of us are not going to willingly put ourselves into that, right? And again, that's what Shiro is also doing, where he's just like, Harry's just been plucked away from the gala, right? Nobody, because that's what he's freaking out about in the first place. He's like, nobody's going to find me. Like, I'm obviously down in the bowels of the earth somewhere. Like, nobody's, right? Somebody does. And then Shiro didn't have to do this. Shiro didn't have to go rescue him. If he came to rescue him, he didn't have to make, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, again,
people just don't sacrifice their lives for other people, especially somebody that they've only met in the last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jesus Christ did it for all of humanity.
Yeah.
Shiro's doing it
and
for
he
Harry.
God and knew about the whole thing. Yeah,
sure,
exactly. But exactly, right? He sort of knew where you were. Yeah, Shiro is like taking this on for this one guy.
So this is the moment for me in the movie when it's like, doom, 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 and the lights are just like off down the hallway as Harry takes this sword and attempts to get away. This is for me when like the horror movie starts.
Yes.
This is now like, you say this is the scariest book for you. This is the moment for me when it's like, okay, shit's real now. And we are really fighting for life right now.
Yeah. So exactly. So Harry finally gets and stumbling because he's still not like his body just is wrecked. Yeah. So he starts going and like almost instantly, as soon as he's clear of the room, you know, he hears them like take Shiro, and he glances back, and all he sees is Nicodemus's shadow spreading out, engulfing the room, rolling over Shiro, which is just icky and creepy. And basically, he's like, even Deirdre and everything, he's like, everything disappears, the whole room goes black because of this shadow. So yeah, very much like you say, it just suddenly has wiped out everything.
And from the darkness.
And from the darkness, you hear the demon...
Kill the wizard, get the sword.
Right, that, and then the demon howl, and yeah. So
he calls out for Harry to be killed and the sword to be taken. So he clearly could not be trusted. Like,
you know the value of my promise, I know the value of yours.
Right, immediately.
Yeah.
So not even give him a couple of minutes to get out of earshot, just like, fuck this guy.
Run.
I got what I wanted, you're screwed.
Yeah. Yeah, before, yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Well, I think the worst part is like Harry hears that sound of tearing and ripping, and then he hears the sound of Deirdre's hair as she turns into the demon form.
Well, yeah,
so it's just like
describing, and he's like, I can't tell if it's like breaking bone or like popping card, you know, and you're just like, ew, is it just like ripping out of the skin, or is it just like, yeah, you're like, have they already started like busting up Shiro, or is this just we're going through the shift, or like, it's icky.
It's just vague enough that your imagination just kind of goes wherever. Just worst case, like pretty much.
And my sister...
It's been a hot minute since I spoke about Critical Role. And if you ever plan on getting to season 3 and are not there yet, this is a big spoiler. Mom, too bad for you.
Just give me a second.
Yeah, you're still in the room.
Maybe I'll forget about it, but no. Okay, alright, I'm just gonna forget.
Travis's character is a werewolf, and every time he describes himself changing, he's like, I rip off my arm, and from it, the beast emerges. I tear off my legs. I, like, rip open my chest. Like, he always, like, describes, like, self-mutilation, and that's what the wolf comes out of the injury as. And it's like, every time, you're so disgusting. Whereas, like, normally it's, like, this mystical, magical fantasy. Like,
where
the bones just shift, and I'm an anamorph. And it's all... No, Travis is always like, I tear off an arm, and now the beast emerges from the injury. It's like, why are you like this?
That's, yeah.
And that's kind of like Deidre. She's just, like...
Snap,
demon
crackle,
bursting
and pop.
from the skin in the most disturbing way.
So, my younger sister once asked me to pierce her ears. She was like 20 and I was like 30s or whatever. We weren't like little, but she wanted it in the upper ear through the cartilage. And, you know, basically was like, you know what I didn't realize before then? Cartilage is noisy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the word. I was like, oh, this is unpleasant.
You have to do it the proper piercing needle to do it too, because otherwise you can shatter it.
This was a fucking
It's not just a pop, it's a shatter.
Yeah,
So
no.
I've got multiple piercings in my ears, some of which were done by my best friend's older sister
Yes.
in the house next door to the one you're talking about.
Yes.
And she shattered her cartilage doing it to herself.
Yeah, I got mine done with one of those piercing guns and just the stud.
Yuck.
So that...
Lesson to you, go to a real piercer,
Go to a
not
real
Claire's.
piercer.
I was lucky.
Go to
It
a-
didn't shatter it, but man, did it. Like, I cried.
Yeah, do not be too cheap. It's worth it. Go to the professional people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yikes.
And yeah, when your sister asks you to pierce her ears, don't let her talk you into it.
So Harry runs like hell and feels fucking guilty as shit for it.
Yes, he does.
Which,
As well
same.
as he can. Like,
We just said it. I mean, Jesus Christ, knowing what he knew, sacrificed himself. Harry doesn't really feel like he's worth that sacrifice, and I gotta say, I'm with him on that. Like,
Yeah. And again, it would, like...
titular character you may be, Knight of the Cross you are not.
Yeah, and like, even if you know, don't want to submit yourself to all of that, you know, I mean, again, if the pain and the terror and all that is motivating you, but for any of us in that situation, it's like, same thing. I'm like, it would be very hard to walk away. I would be like, no, you got to come with me. Like, I can't leave you here, right? So, yes, in the moment, if I was actually faced with supernaturally scary beings that I believed were supernaturally scary, maybe I would be like, I got to run away. But you know what I mean? It's that also... you know, like, I'm not worth it, and also I can't, and I like, you gotta, like, I just, you know,
There's this moment in Harry Potter, at the last book, The Battle of Hogwarts, when Voldemort does his voice projection thing, and it goes into everyone's, you know, it's a little bit different portrayed between the book and the movie, but either you're hearing it in your voice, or the voice just goes to the entire land, whatever.
Yeah.
And Voldemort's like, dude, we've killed all your friends. We've killed all your allies. At what point are you going to let us keep killing all your friends and allies? And are you just going to show up to the fight yourself?
Yes.
And all of Harry's friends and things are like, don't listen to him. Don't go to him. He's just saying this to get into your mind. And Harry's looking at all the bodies on the ground being like,
it's not.
these are my friends. These are my teachers. You've let me into your home. You've, like, because of me now, you've got siblings and friends and parents and teachers and kids all dead. Yeah, I do need to show up.
Maybe my one bestie is still standing beside me, but all of these other people I went
like,
to school with were friends and things among them as well. And yeah, exactly.
And so there becomes a point, too, when Harry's like, I know I'm gonna die, but I've got to walk into forest now because it's my turn, right? And he does this whole thing where it's the same thing. He's like, I gotta go do this, right? And this is, you know, opposite of that when Harry's just like, when does the list stop ending? How long do I let people keep sacrificing myself until
themselves free?
But end of the day, you know, the Fallen aren't here for you, Harry, and this is the Knights versus the Cross. This is their shit.
Yeah.
It's why they're here,
you know? Like, then there maybe is a little bit of that going on, like, again, right, whether it's, you know, he's like, these are who's supposed to go up against each other.
Whether there was a Harry Dresden born or not, there were already the Knights of the Cross at work.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I don't have the means to cope with this. That at least is the best chance, right? So
it's like Harry has so much undealt with trauma that he just has to, like, take more shame and burden upon himself because of all of this stuff.
And we start every book like that when he's just like compartmentalize, because everything that happened last book isn't resolved and I'm still freaking out.
See a psychologist, my friend. Like,
you know what?
Are kind of
I can't afford one.
He becomes friends with a cop, he becomes friends with a medical examiner, he becomes friends with like vampires and knights and this shit, and not once throughout the series, spoiler until book 18, he's yet to become friends with a therapist. Maybe that would help.
Right?
Maybe that would be...
Like, the closest he got up to this point was like, his guardian. Fuck, I can't remember his name right now. The old wizard from Missouri.
Oh, McCoy.
Ebenezer,
So the closest thing that he's come to having any sort of therapy is like that, like, teen getaway retreat.
Yeah.
With McCoy.
With the most coded message ever.
Just basically puts him to physical labor is what he does.
It's like the most man-to-man talk ever. Like, we go get out the telescope, work on the farm. It's like, oh, he loves me so much.
Yeah,
Like, that's
exactly.
A lesson in repression.
Seriously.
Yeah, I can't fix any of your problems, so we'll just bury them under hard work and sweat, you know, and yeah.
Take out your anger on the farm, boy.
Right.
Can't be depressed if you're too tired to be depressed.
Exactly. But it's a good point.
I mean, it makes a more interesting character to have them all sorts of fucked up.
Well, and that is...
You know, hero identity crisis and guilt and... it's just...
Well, exactly. These
Wow,
are all
buddy, like,
these are all
looking
the
at
things that forge a hero, right? Is that if you've never
If the
been through
first
anything...
2,000 years of humanity got by without a therapist, Harry can.
Yeah, those first 2,000 went...
They were fine.
Great.
They're doing good.
Yeah, exactly. But yes, Shiro also has made this point earlier because he's like, when he's talking about Susan and stuff like that, he's like, oh, you feel like you want to take all this on and it's your fault. And he's like, it's not your fault. The vampires were going to do this regardless, right? And Harry's like, oh, but, right?
But I'm special.
But it's, yeah, so it's more of that. It's again being like, I'm not special enough to be worth any of this, but also I have to take on all of the the responsibility for all, and yeah.
Oh, I love it.
So yes, if they're not fucked up and crazy,
Like,
then
if you're into psychology at all, like Harry's character is just such a wealth of like, ooh, and he's got this disorder and this disorder. And,
If we have any therapists listening now,
again,
God,
Harry
I
just-
would love to like do an episode with a psychologist that just analyzes the
Just
fuck
like-
out of Harry. Like that.
Wouldn't that
A
be
running
great for,
tally.
like wrap up kind of a thing? For like, okay, now we've got all of this about. We joked a lot about Bigfoot and his nugget of gold and how he must have gone and spent it on like magical doodahs and things like that or whatever, and it was like, Harry, maybe that would, because we all know good therapy is expensive, and Harry just doesn't have the time and the money to go into that. But it was like maybe that would have been somewhere else.
The early 2000s, but
it was
come on,
too early.
even people were still doing therapy then, man.
Oh yeah, but maybe that was too early in Harry's career. He hadn't gotten enough trauma yet.
Still just in denial.
Fuck, if I'd known, I should have fucking got
All of his friends are just kind of poking him out at this point and be like, buddy. I think this is actually his first call, besides like Billy. Besides Billy. Billy sort of pokes him a little bit on mental
in book
health
4
shit.
being like,
Just like, you can't do this, man. Like, you need to take care of yourself. But I think this is like, Shiro is the first time somebody's really been like, take this off your plate. It is not yours to hold.
Yeah. And you need that different people. I mean, again, right? Like, we know, Murphy would have said shit like that. We know Michael would have said, beat again, right? It's like,
we know Murphy, Michael, and Billy have all stepped up in huge ways in the last few years.
But most of us, I think, again, know from personal experience, too, that you almost believe it, less when it's like somebody, because you're like, well, you like me, so of course you're trying to make me feel better and not. Whereas when a perfect stranger comes up to you and is like, this isn't, then you're like, oh.
This is a common trope, though, in a lot of fantasy sci-fi novels. It's like, oh, I'd love to speak to a therapist. Fortunately, you can't just go sit down and start talking about all supernatural problems in your life, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the other
Hard
thing.
to find. You need a therapist who's in the know, right?
So
Yes.
what like the rest of the Wizard Council doesn't have any sort of sensitivity training? Like,
Well, obviously not.
That's the council, right? Yeah.
true.
But okay, so in Teen Wolf, for example, the druid had a sister. And so everyone went and spoke to the druid sister because it was like, well, she knows about the supernatural, and she's kind of like, I think she was a therapist. I don't remember now if that was her real person job or if they just made her be their therapist or whatever. But she was kind of evil, and they had no choice. They're like, well, we either get to talk to her or no one, so she's in the know at least, right? So it's like, these
not a lot of options.
supernatural resumes are really far and few behind, and especially in Chicago. And as the series progresses more and more, even if Harry were to find someone in the know, when you look at Murphy, okay, if he needs a cop on his team, he's got Murphy. But Murphy needs Harry. She needs to rely on Harry. She is indebted to Harry when it comes to the supernatural world, right? Butters for medical examiner. Okay, if Harry needs a doctor or whatever, fine, he's got Butters. But Butters needs Harry, right? If Harry goes out and finds a therapist in Chicago and they're in the know about the supernatural, how honest can that opinion be when that person's going to be just as reliant on Harry to go out and save the world? How can Harry be like, well, I actually can't save the world?
Yeah.
Is that okay with you?
Ooh,
right?
And that's time for today.
Yeah, that's the point, though, is that, even if Harry were to find someone, he couldn't be honest about it because everyone's like,
Very nuanced. They'd have to be.
you're gonna go sacrifice yourself for us, aren't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Awkward position.
Yeah.
Just
So, no, Harry, you are effed. Or you can be real honest with a fairy and, give him your name, and it'll be no problem. Leah wants to help you so bad.
Live your life as a puppy dog. You'll be fine.
No, I'll be fine.
Feel no pain.
We all relish a dog's life, right?
Here's a dog treat. You're good.
Right. Scooby snacks. Harry Scooby snacks for the rest of your life.
That would be good.
Right. What more? Yeah, so he does what the rest of us poor schmucks does and relies on all his friends and just pours out his woes and troubles and drips and drabs to, okay, you know about this, I'll complain about this to you, and you're my friend that deals with this, I'll complain about this to you, and really hope you get something workable in the end. So, yes. Once again, Harry runs for his life.
This concludes our episode 10.20, Underdog. Thank you for listening. You can find us online at freeflowrambling.com and McAnallys.ca. There we have links to our other podcasts, social media, and other fun tidbits. Please subscribe if you like what you're hearing, and please consider supporting us through Patreon to keep the magic alive and to see more content. We are Free Flow Rambling, conjured by it at your own risk.